I don't know what to say, but there's a whole lot of noise happening around right now in the Empires and Puzzles community. I've seen, in a span of I think it was a couple of hours. So there's been a new balance update that has just been released into the servers. So I do believe it's here, balance update now live. So okay, it's not even a couple of hours, it was 49 minutes ago. So um, this is really going to be a controversial video from me, because I can see a lot of the comments were actually negative more than positive. And in my opinion, this is actually the best balance update, balance changes that we have seen in a long, long time. And I'm going to explain why. But before that, I think let's look at what the balance update entails. So let's jump into it. So June 2024 balance update. This balance change will go live on 2024 17 of June 11 UTC, which I do believe was 49 minutes ago. And you can see from the picture right here, if I can just extend it a bit. So Pepper Flame adjusted. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not an adjustment. Status ailments no longer self-trigger secondary effects. We'll talk a bit about that later. Costume bonuses for 5 stars buffs, family buffs, and Hero of the Month buffs. So let's go and have a look at what they are talking about. This month, we are rolling out the largest set of buffs in recent Empires and Puzzles history. A whopping 31 families are receiving a long-awaited boost to their costume bonus. Various heroes across 7 families are receiving positive tweaks. And 6 June Hero of the Month's +2 costumes hailing from previous years are getting some love. At the other end of the table, Pepper Flame's power is being slightly toned down, and there will also be a general change to how status ailments' secondary effect work. Such effects will no longer trigger unless specifically stated otherwise when a status ailment is replaced with itself. Full details of the changes are as follows. Alright, so let's look at the buffs first before we talk about Pepper Flame. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's look at the buffs first. I'm gonna leave Pepper Flame till the end to talk about. So the buffs. Costume buffs for legendary heroes. So the Kilvala family, which is the one that's coming up right now in July, I do believe it's going to start. So for the costumes, instead of 10% attack and defense, 15% health, 5% mana generation, you now get 14% attack, 14% defense, 17% health, 5% mana generation. Legends family for 2017, 2018, and 2019. It is now 28% attack, 26% defense, 45% health, 5% mana generation. Atlantis, Lagoon, and Sakura families. The season 2 costumes. Yay! Finally, they decided to do with whatever stupid shit that they were buffing in the previous iteration. Now they've actually made it such that they have 22% attack, 20% defense, 25% health, and 5% mana generation, which I think will make them slightly more relevant in the current state of things. Initially, with the costume bonuses for them, they were still pretty weak. I mean, a costume Ariel at 1 limit break was, I think, about 1,000 power, but still getting easily one-shotted. Because of how low her health was. So now with this 25% health, I think she would be much better. Now, I haven't seen just how much changes it will be. I'm going to have a look at my costume Ariel because that is the only Atlantis family costume that I have leveled up. I have 3 costume Ariels, so we're going to have a look at it later to see how much the changes are made to her health. Now Valhalla Realms as well, so now they've updated the stats a little bit. 23% attack, 21% defense, 35% health, and 5% mana generation. That means heroes like Costume Freya might see a little bit more support roles in attack teams. You're going to see heroes like Maybe even heroes like Costume Gefion, with how Costume Diao-chan and Costume Zhuge are coming up. You might want to see some use in those. But I do believe that's all that we're gonna see. Probably maybe Costume Loki, for Rush Wars, and then maybe Costume Vera. Not that much, but I like the costume bonus changes because right now it feels like any hero that doesn't have a costume bonus in the current meta, you either have that the hero has to be either released 2 months before, or earlier, because anything later than that, if you do not have a costume, your stats just don't reach the current meta of heroes right now, and it's harder to use. So under Wild Family as well, you get 24% attack, 22% defense, 30% health, 5% mana generation. Now, if you realize here, the newer costumes are still getting, the newer families, I mean season 3 onwards, are still getting a much better boost in terms of costume bonus as opposed to the Atlantis, Lagoon, and Sakura families, the season 2 families. I predict this to change as well if people start using more season 2 heroes. So, heroes like Poseidon, Mitsuko, or even costume Ariel, those kind of things, and I'm pretty sure they're in the works for a hero like costume Thetis and costume Okeanos. Then maybe you'll see that there will be changes to the costume bonus as well. The Sun and Moon families, which is the season 5, so they have, obviously they're newer, so they are less in terms of costume bonus, although now that makes costume Hathor such a bitch to deal with. But it's not too significant of a difference. I mean, it's just 1% health difference, so it's not too debilitating, even though she's already so oppressive. But at least they didn't just go all out in terms of giving her a higher costume bonus change. Defenders of Atlantis, I still really don't understand what the hell this 1% mana generation is supposed to do to them. I can only see that, and I do believe Defenders of Atlantis, I'm not sure if that involves Nightmares of Atlantis, because the first Nightmare of Atlantis hero that's going to get a costume, I'm not even sure whether Gestalt is Nightmare. I don't remember. I don't think he is. But yeah, we haven't seen a Nightmare of Atlantis costume yet, so for the time being it's just Defenders of Atlantis. I still don't understand what the hell this 1% mana generation is going to help them, but they're getting a costume bonus change as well. If you're using costume forces, I think it's because not many people are using costume forces right now, and there's gonna be an inflow of new costumes that are coming out. Costume forces, costume Persa, costume Gestalt, which is coming out soon. You're gonna see hopefully people start using this kind of heroes as well. Sand Empire, Springwheel family, so new costume bonuses: 22% attack, 20% defense, 25% health, 5% mana generation, which means heroes like I don't know, will you see costume Leapers, costume Killhair? I don't know if they are still even relevant in the current meta. Maybe Leapers is, I don't know about Killhair. But then there's also the Archie as well as Jasper, so those might do something. And then the Sand Empire, obviously it's costume Rock, costume, who's that? I don't remember what's the name. There's one which is a lady, a holy hero, and there's another one which is a green nature hero. I don't remember the name, but they don't really see play anymore, so I don't know. Morlovia, Winter families. Oh, this one would be nice for Krampus actually. Krampus. Now obviously Mother North is obsolete, so fuck that. But Morlovia, you get to see costumes for Victor, costumes for Francine and Vanda, so maybe those might get a little bit more of a resurgence, because look at this. I mean, 5%. It went from 5% attack, 5% defense, 10% health, 5% mana generation to 22% attack, 20% defense, 25% health, and 5% mana generation. So I'm gonna have a look at my Krampus later just to see how it is. And then the Guardian, Pirate, Avalon, Green Forest, and Wonderland families, so they get 27% attack, 25% defense, 40% health, and 5% mana generation. This obviously goes in line with the current Soul Exchange leaks that are coming out. Leaks or spoilers, you can take it as it is. But I think Guardian Panther, Costume Guardian Panther is one of them right now. So having, Costume Guardian Panther slowly getting back to where it initially was, I think that's pretty awesome. And then there's also heroes like, Costume Finley, and then Guardian Gazelle. Oh my god, yeah. So Guardian Gazelle gets a bit more of a boost here. So hey, that works for me. Yeah, I know this again. This is very controversial, but I think I'm very happy to see that they have finally slapped themselves awake and improved the costume bonuses, especially for season 2. Now, what's going to happen after this? The second part of this balance changes, yeah, this is gonna sting a little bit. All right, so hero family. Oh, there's still this part as well. So hero family or individual hero buffs. Garrison Guard family, so they have a new passive skill, which means now they will have 3 passive skills. Resist mana reduction, and then there's also another one, resist mana reduction. They every 4 turns they remove Wither, and then there's also another one where they summon, there's a family passive, and then they also summon themselves a guard minion as well. So now the stats increased, and then the shield guard mega minion goes up a little bit. Now this is only for the Garrison Guard, so bear in mind this is not for Shimmer skill, this is not for, I think, Violet Pepper Pots. I think it's not affecting those, but it's only affecting Vanya, Kaelen. Yeah, Vanya and Kaelen specifically. So this is only for the minion, so be careful for that. But the minions are really strong. They help remove cleanse ailments without triggering their secondary effects, which is really, really strong as well. So yeah, props to them. I think we don't really see Vanya much because Vanya is slow, but in Rush this guy is an asshole, really. Kaelen, I think he's too new right now. Not many people know how to play around sleep. The sleep mechanic, I mean, there's going to be Kaelen, there's going to be Teddy and whatnot, and I think people still don't really use the sleep mechanic. Even I mean, I haven't seen anybody using the sleep mechanic just yet. So the Goblin family, wow, they have changes for this. Grim Steel, so the stats has increased. Yay, I like that. Look at the health increase. I mean, it went from 1695 to 1851. It's pretty cool. Growth increase, 400 to 450 attack and defense. Now, I want to stress out that the growth value increase just means that they accelerate the growth mechanic to the maximum cap way faster than normal, because growth has a maximum cap of, I think, 170% of your ability power, which means it's not going to go any further than that. So I think with this one you probably need to just cast Grimsteel 3 times and you've reached the maximum cap, if I'm not mistaken. It's between 3 to 4 times. So the 50 growth value increase hardly matters. Now it's going to be a problem obviously if you're looking at, like, it could be the difference between like 10 HP and dying, something like that. But I think in most cases it hardly matters. Scroll Beast, I like that his direct damage is increased. Scroll Beast is insane. One of the stronger yellow slow goblins that they are around. I mean, it's way better than Boom and Fang, and I think it is also way better than Leaf Whisk, which is the opposite of Scroll Beast. And I think Scroll Beast, I enjoy the direct damage increase even though I don't have him, but those who do have Scroll Beast will enjoy it a lot. My boy Fizz Coil, Wither increase, so from negative 160 to negative 200 attack and defense. I like this. I have 2 Fizz Coils, and one now. If I get a third, I don't mind it. Really, really good. Interesting that his stats will not increase, probably because it's much older and they have already milked what they can from Fizz Coil. So there's that. Investigator family, Abigail, the stats are increased. Now Abigail is the one that gives minions to allies, and these minions hit with 5 insanity every time. So now the direct damage is increased, and then the Zulu minion HP is increased, and then the bleed damage is increased, which is sorely needed because the bleed damage was just so pathetic. 192 over 4 turns is nothing. 324 is much better. So that's a good buff for Abigail, especially since not many people are using it. Not many people have them. Anyways, Edward, this is the third time he's getting buffed. So stats increased, and then Hunter is the newest one. I don't know, the direct damage increased to 530%. Sheesh. I guess they realized that Hunter with 500% direct damage isn't killing anybody, so they need to increase it to 530% to at least hope to kill, because if you kill the target with Hunter's ability, the flanks get 100 insanity immediately. So I think that's the reason why they wanted to give him an additional buff here. So not too bad. Kind of like the buffs so far. Journey family, Erlang Shen, direct damage increased to 500%. So it's interesting. Now remember, Erlang Shen is not a even hit tree. He hits the target with 500% and then minor damage to the nearby enemies. So it's not the same. So in the current meta right now, I don't think he kills the flanks too often. Usually you can get away by killing the target, but not the flanks, not the nearby enemies. Xiong Shanjun, increased range of all effects. Wow. Max health reduction over time, so now it's all enemies max health by 800. Health boost is now to all, mana generation to all, and mana degeneration to all. Holy shit. So now Xiong might actually be really good. So I have Xiong at 370, so I might consider, pushing him up. Might be interesting. Then 9-headed beast, direct damage increased by 10% to 160%. Sure, I'm sure that makes a lot of difference. Defenders of Atlantis family, Galapago, direct damage increase. So the first cast is now 280%, then the second cast onwards is 370%. That's interesting. I kind of forgot over the last 2 wars that Galapago can actually kill minions. So yeah, I should probably use him, huh? LaSalle, C Cavalry Fiend, inherited HP increased to 20%. It's okay. Talassa, health boost is increased by another 50. I think previously she was like 475 and then they increased it to like 500, something like that. So it's nice to see that they're actually giving her a much needed health boost, especially since she does not cleanse. She gives an ailment block, sure. But the fact that she doesn't cleanse makes her 1 tier below the current healers that are in the market. Seto, direct damage increase, that's always good. My Seto is still sitting at 1-1 because I think not really too good. Gellert, direct damage increase, that's nice. I like how they're increasing the direct damage because Gellert wasn't dealing that much right now in the face of legendary troops, so that's a good buff to him. So max damage can be up to 700%. Wow, okay. Nightmares of Atlantis family, so Ultrox is getting an increase in damage, so just basically a small increase in damage. So max to 300% on the first cast, and then second cast onwards is 350%. The counter attack is increasing. That's interesting. I'm not sure whether we'll see more Ultroxes, but to those who have them, that's definitely a good buff. Persa, the spreading corrosive poison damage has increased. Now the corrosive poison, I think it's really strong. I like that they increased it, the base damage at least, because I think if I'm not mistaken, the corrosive poison goes up based on her attack stat as well. So it's good to have this. It's just a small buff, but I think mostly people use Persa for the utility more than anything else. Dom Ventus as well, corrosive burn increase. I think this is all basically to cater for the fact that legendary troops make the HP go a bit higher, so damage over time effects are not dealing as much damage as one would like. So you'll often see damage over time effects do not actually kill heroes with the matching legendary troop just because of how much health they have. So Atlantea as well, getting a bit of corrosive frost damage increase, so that's pretty good. Bard family, mana increase reduction. So they realized that owls having more mana increase reduction than bards kind of makes it a bit weird. So further reduces enemy mana increases So from 50% to 80%. So now it's in line with the owls as well. So affected heroes are Riz, Narcissa, Ojima, and Belladonna. Revival chance reduction goes up to 80% for Nexa and Zabok. The defense ailment reduction to 80%, Winifred and Zarel. And attack ailment reduction, Salamane and Karias. June Hero of the Month. Hell, direct damage increased from 315% to 345%. That's nice. Costume Hell, so direct damage increased by a bit. This is basically all to cater for the legendary troop having a bit more HP. Gravemaker, direct damage increased to 170%. I think Gravemaker is still trash right now. Direct damage increased to 145%. I mean, the direct damage basically deals no damage. And burn damage increased to 432 damage. Okay. Raphael, nobody uses Raphael, he's too slow these days. El Radir, direct damage, interesting. So now, El Radir, if you see more damage over time, I think El Radir will be interesting, especially when they come up with his costume, because then he becomes much more relevant. So El Radir is something, it's a sleeper hero here, it's something that I want to keep my eye on, especially since I managed to keep a copy of him. Once his costume comes out, it'll be very interesting, because I'm considering using El Radir, especially when you have a lot of status effect damages, poison damage, burn damage, fire damage, bleed damage from Daroga as well. So this is a sleeper hero, something that I'll take into account. Arphanius, not so much. The base direct damage, basically trash. Scar Jamar as well, don't really bother. So adjustments. So this is the big one. This is the one that everybody is getting pissy about. Unless specifically stated otherwise, replacing a status ailment with itself will no longer trigger its secondary effects. This change affects the following heroes: Legendary, Pepper Flame, Prophet, Starwalker, Erlang Shen, Grimsteel, Face Coil, and Rare Boots. So what does that mean? So this means that if you use Pepper Flame or Prophet or any one of these heroes whereby the stat says, you know what, I'm gonna move that. Let me just go back to the game, and then we can see it. Oh, right, sure. Okay, so let me have a look at okay, so let's look at Prophet. So the target and nearby enemies get negative 30% defense for 3 turns. If the effect is removed before the duration ends, the target with the effect suffers 922 damage. So unless stated otherwise, this effect cannot override by the same effect that you can't override that same ability with the same effect. So what that basically means is you can't use Prophet, hit 3, and then use a second Prophet to trigger this 922 damage. That's what it means. So this basically means that you need to change the way you use these heroes. Now, I remember about a couple of streams back, I mentioned that it was so easy to have teams where you can just run like double Prophet, double Pepper Flame, double Starwalker, and you can basically have a team pretty much preset, because you can have Prophet, the first Prophet deal 3, hit 3, and then use the second Prophet to kind of kill, because you're dealing 390% damage to the target and nearby enemies with the defense down, and then you just use the second Prophet to kind of trigger the defense down ailment by overwriting this effect with the same effect, and then dealing the same 390% damage. So more often times than not, double Prophet, double Pepper Flame, double Starwalker, they basically can wreck a whole team. Now you can't do that anymore with the newest buff, and it also applies to heroes like Erlang Shen as well. So Erlang Shen, if the effect is removed before the duration ends, so you can't use Erlang with another Erlang Shen. It won't trigger this 696 damage. That's all there is to it. What does this mean? It means that you will have to change the way you build your teams. You can't use double Erlang anymore. You will have to use something like Erlang and Christine together, like how I'm how I'm running it right now, you have to use Erlang, and then you use Christine to remove the effect. Or you can use someone like Horus with the passive that gives defense attack down. The same case with Starwalker, I believe. So Starwalker, you can't just use Starwalker and then use the second Starwalker as well to trigger this this secondary effect. So what you need to do is you use Starwalker and then you combine it with Morale, for example, a costume Morale that gives a different type of defense down in order to override the effect. Now, why SG is doing this? Now I think this goes back to something that a lot of people have complained. The fact that these kind of effects have been so oppressive, especially in equalizer wars, especially in any form of wars. It has gone up to the point where every single war iteration, war format is still running heroes like Pepper Flame on defense, Prophet on defense, Starwalker on defense, and basically once one Starwalker fires, if a second Starwalker fires, your team is basically screwed if you don't have protection. So that's the whole reason why I think they're doing that. Now, this is a huge nerf to a lot of attack teams. As I mentioned before, you cannot run double Pepper Flame. You're going to have to do something like Pepper Flame plus double costume Marjana, for example. You can't use Prophet just like that. You got to use Prophet together with some other defense down, and then you can't use Starwalker. You can't use double Starwalker. You got to use Starwalker and something like Morale. And I think one of the main reasons why this is happening as well is for challenge events, especially. If you notice, part of the big thing that happened in challenge events as well as in Alliance Quest, the Clash of Knights or the Musketeer events, was that people were using a lot of the top teams were basically running a share damage effect. So something like you can use Wilbur, you can use anyone. I mean, Costume Gunner, and then they were just using Prophet, or Starwalker. And I think the one that struck me out the most was I think one of the members, I think they were using I think it was Costume Gunner, Costume Gunner, triple Prophet, and a Toon Grim for legendary, and he was in the top 10, I do believe. So I think that's basically why they wanted to do that adjustment as well. Now it's gonna get a lot of hate because I think a lot of people have spent and invested a lot of effort and money in order to obtain heroes like Pepper Flame. Back when I was in Gypsy Danger for that couple of months before I eventually left, I think a huge part of the players there were having at least 2 to 3 Pepper Flames. And I can see their frustrations when, imagine if you have 6 Pepper Flames, right? And, that's essentially three teams done just with 2 Pepper Flames per team. Now, you can't do that anymore. You need to have 6 Pepper Flames. You can make 6 teams, but you need 6 double costume Marjanas in order to pair them up together. And it's not a guarantee that you are going to kill the side. Because I do believe right now with how the new heroes are coming out, especially with Costume Diao-chan, having 4,000 HP. Now, even if the tactic is not to kill Diao-chan off first, the minions are so strong to the point where I think Pepper Flame plus double costume Marjana is not going to kill a side anymore. Now, that's going to seriously impact how the game goes. You might need to rinse and repeat the same effect twice in order to get rid of a side. And that invites a bit more creativity in how you want to change this effect. You might need to use Pepper Flame plus Costume Marjana in order to ensure that Costume Marjana's final hit of changing the ailment would basically kill one side. The same thing with Starwalker, so you need to use Starwalker plus Morale and potentially use someone else in order to ensure that you wipe a team. This is going to change some attack team mechanics, because initially you could just run Pepper Flame plus Costume Marjana, double Costume Marjana, and then you use something like Hathor, for example, to provide protection for your raid hero. So you can run something like 3-1-1 or 3-2, where you have basically two heroes that deal the damage, and then you have the third hero with the same matching speed in order to provide protection and support. So right now you have to go back to the same type of iteration where you have three heroes of the same attack color. So three offense oriented heroes of the same color, and then your supports will be of a different color. Or if you play 4-1, then you can have a matching color for that, a matching color for support. Now on top of this, I know I kept going down here. There's also a nerf to Pepper Flame because of how oppressive Pepper Flames have been. I don't know if you've seen. I think this only affects top flight wars. I think in the top 3 teams, maybe the top 3, top 4, maybe top 5 to a certain extent. So now Pepper Flame's direct damage has reduced to 450%. The growth has reduced from 330 to 250 attack, and the defense reduction has lowered to align together with Profit. So that's only 30%. It's a huge nerf to Pepper Flame. I understand. I think for this it's actually a huge nerf, especially with heroes getting a bit more health than usual these days. This current meta, it's actually going to be quite painful to watch Pepper Flame getting destroyed like that. So the coming war, this coming midweek war, will be the first litmus test on whether or not heroes players can adjust to the fact that you can no longer run double Pepper Flames in order to trigger the secondary effect, or any one of these heroes in order to trigger the secondary effect. More creativity has to be done to attack teams in order to adjust to these changes. And it'll be interesting to see how teams are formed then. As how I said, attack teams will need to adapt, attack teams will need to change. So now before I end this video, I'm going to have a look at some of the buffs here that have happened. So now Guardian Gazelle has increased a little bit in terms of stats. 2026. I'm so sad that I didn't get the what do you call it, the previous pictures here. So I don't know if am I running full defense on her? Yes, I am running full defense on her. So yeah, 2,000 health right now. But remember, this is not double limit break, so you don't see absurd values. And then I want to check Krampus and Costume Ariel. So let's see. So Krampus right now, 2,500 health. Yes, my man has evolved. He's getting much better right now. 2,000. I do believe both my Krampuses are not the same. Yeah, 2,400 health here. But still, I think I'm gonna bring back using Krampus, man. Even Black Knight as well. 2,600 health. Ooh. Okay. Maybe Autotons are coming back. Who knows? Freyr as well. Only single limit break. 2095. That's awesome. Costume Geffion. To almost 2,000 health. Interesting. And then Finley as well, 2,000 health, 1197 attack. That's pretty decent actually. Talassa right now is 550 and 650 health boost. That's awesome. Okay, Costume Ariel. Okay, 1,803. I believe she still needs a double limit break in order for her to really stay alive, or you would need to get a matching legendary troop in order for her to get that 40% health boost in order for her to stay alive. So I think it's okay. It's a significant increase in terms of buffs that will make it interesting. Guardian Kong, look at that, 2,000 health. That's not even limit broken yet. I don't think I have enough to limit break him. I don't think I have. I'm still lacking a bit of ethers. Yeah, still. But yeah, okay. That seems to be all the buffs, I think, that are pretty relevant here. I don't think there are any other buffs. By the way, Erlang, I do believe, has changed. So now Riz now is 80%. That's awesome. And then Erlang now is 500%. So that's okay. Oh, and that means Xiong Shanjun. Where's my cocaine bear? Where's my bear? Did I miss my bear? Where my bear? Alright, the effect is now to all, so that means maybe I'll play around with him. I don't know. It'll be interesting to reduce, max health of all heroes, and then just use like a strong purple hit all to kind of kill. It'll be interesting to see. I'm gonna see if we can do something here. Now, obviously, I'm only talking about the offense side of heroes like Prophet, Starwalker, and everything, but something to note as well that people were trying to do, even for me as well. I used to run double Fist Coil because you can replace this 30% mana degeneration with itself, and they lose 5% mana. So you can't do that anymore, which is fine, honestly. I think for Fist Coil and Grimsteel, honestly, it's fine. Usually people like to remove it themselves, so I don't think it's much of an issue, but I'm pretty happy to see Grimsteel get an adjustment here, because he's been dying a bit as well, so now he's going to be sturdy as hell. So alright, that's going to be it. Oh my god, the amount of stuff. That's going to be it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be frustrated with the fact that they will have to change their attack teams. A lot of teams will not be working as well as usual. But I think Equalizer Wars, they will still be using the same combinations. You'll still see a lot of Starwalkers, Prophet, Pepper Flames as well. I'm pretty sure you'll still see a lot of them. But there's a better avenue of dealing with them. You only need to worry about the equalizer happening and not so much of the fact that they're going to keep triggering when they keep firing. So it's a huge change. A lot of it is going to be a nerf. But yeah, let's see how things goes, and then who knows? You never know what SG might do later on to kind of address this kind of adjustments. So I hope everyone don't get too overly frustrated. To me, I think the balance changes with the costume bonuses are potentially one of the best that has happened so far. And I hope the players don't get too demotivated or immediately decide to leave or something like that. But who knows? I might be talking nonsense, saying that it's a good balance change. I don't know. I invite any comments, any thoughts that you guys might have, and yeah, let's see how it pans out in the next couple of wars. Catch you guys in the next video. GG. Alright, so I want to tag this on to the video because I think I made a mistake in talking about the adjustments that has happened to Starwalker, Pepper Flame, and Prophet. So in the video, I mentioned that attack teams need to change. They need to be more creative because you now cannot just do double Pepper Flames. You will have to do Pepper Flame and double Costume Marjana. So my teammate has made a video, and apparently that doesn't work either. So let's have a look at this. So you can see, now I just want to focus on Seshat because Telluria and Poseidon are getting themselves whacked. So you can see just now with the what happened here was Starwalker effect was already on Telluria and Poseidon, and they did not receive the secondary effect. And now you see Seshat has the ailment from Starwalker, and now he's going to use Morale, and if you can see, it does not trigger the secondary effect. Even a replacement of the defense down does not trigger the effect. So this is going to be very concerning, because then you will have to do something else needs to happen then. You can't just use Starwalker or Prophet and then with another defense down hero to just trigger the effect. Now the reason why you see the effect triggering from Telluria and Poseidon is because both of those units are actually dead. So regardless with that, you'll still see the secondary effect. My concern right now is with Seshat, because now Seshat does not get the secondary effect, which means they'll be much harder to kill. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that is working as intended, But if that's the case, one of the only ways you can do it, where you want to trigger the secondary effect, is by using Annabelle. Effects like Annabelle, which remove the effect, and then you'll get the effect. You'll get the secondary effect to trigger. Other than that, maybe something like dance or cleanse are the only ways to actually deal with it. So I just want to add this into the end of my video because I was apparently wrong. I'm not sure if that is working as intended. I'm not sure if anybody would report that, but let's see if it is actually the way that is working. In which case, Pepper Flame, the only way you're going to activate Pepper Flame is maybe using something like Raoul, which is highly undesirable because Raoul does literally no damage. And if you're using heroes like Starwalker and Prophet from the blue side, I don't think there's any blue dance hero that is affecting the enemy right now. So that's going to make things a bit more complicated, which means it warps the whole attack team formation that's going to happen with Starwalker and Prophet. So let's see how that's going to go, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. GG. Okay, so I just want to do a test to see whether Erlang can be triggered by Narcissa. And we're going to just test this out. I just want to see if it's possible. If it's not possible, then it opens up a whole different issue here. Now, obviously for me, I'm okay because I have Christine, which will definitely trigger. So my question is whether or not what's happening? Oh, okay. The question is whether or not Narcissa triggers Erlang. So we're gonna have to try to do this without most of them dying. So let's try and see if this works. Okay, so now Erlang is happening. So we gotta trigger Narcissa, which I believe we can. Okay, the fact that they're getting defense down, that's attack down, that's actually good. That actually keeps them alive for us to see. All right. Okay. All right. So let's see. So if I use Erlang on the 3 on the right, so 755 with negative attack, and Poseidon has negative attack. So if I use Narcissa right now, will it trigger the attack down? No, it does not. Wow. Okay, so that changes a lot. So that means if I were to do this, God, I forgot about the attack down and the ailments that are going around. So now Narcissa is about dead here. Okay, Erlang should be alive from this, so that's fine. Okay, so if I were to do this, so if I use Erlang here, and then I do Christine here. Okay, so they trigger. So that's a different story. Alright, so that means you can't use Narcissa to trigger Erlang, as how some people have done in the previous metas, where you would have Erlang at flank and then Narcissa at the wing. It's no longer possible because the ailment itself. So if you read the, so I'm probably let me just flee this. So if you read the balance update, what it says, where is it? So replacing a status ailment with itself will no longer trigger its secondary effect. So you cannot replace the status ailment with the same class of status ailment. So that's the whole thing that is changing the whole scenario here. So as long as the status ailment is considered under the same it's considered under the same class. So for example, almost all defense down ailments are considered under the same class. As long as you're dealing the same kind of defense ailment, it is not considered, it will not trigger the secondary effect, because what you're doing is you're introducing the same type of defense down. Now, if it was a different one, and thankfully enough, we do have a video for that. So if you see here, what's going to happen is Tinsel has a different status ailment here. So if I go all the way here, so now you can see now that Erlang and Dark Feather has the ailment from Poffit, right? So now he's going to use Tinsel, and Tinsel, what Tinsel says is the target and nearby enemies get negative, I do believe it's negative 14% defense down, which increases up to 54% based on the amount of blue tiles on the board. So that is a different class of defense ailment, defense down ailment, which is characterized as a different class by SG. So it is currently the only one, I think this, and then potentially maybe Gortooth one, Kodas, or potentially, I'm not sure. We will have to do a lot of testing on this. And you will see that Tinsel will actually trigger. It triggers on Dark Feather. Now Dark Feather was not going to die at 668 damage alone, so which means that the replacement effect actually happened, and the secondary effect was triggered onto Dark Feather. So that's the thing I wanted to show, just to tack on this at the end of the video as well, just to make sure people understand what it actually means. So in order to trigger Erlang, what you would need is a dance effect, so like Christine. So Erlang Christine is a match made in heaven right now, and right now we have to see, I think Tinsel, Poffit and Tinsel will be the best pairing right now, and then now it's up to Starwalker and who else. So that's the question mark. Now Starwalker is the biggest hit in this era right now, the same with Pepper Flame, because there are no red heroes right now that give a different form of defense down that is of a different class similar to Tinsel. So we need to see how that works, or whether this is something that SG overlooked. But who knows? We'll see in the next few weeks. Alright. Thanks for the video. GG.